coming to you live from Plugkit Studios in beautiful Largo, Florida. We are keeping you plugged in with episode 280 of F5 Live, refreshing technology.
This week, G4 says goodbye to gaming, Nintendo says goodbye to profit, and Yahoo says goodbye to privacy. Plus, the podcast awards are here.
Yay!
Say Nick.
Nick! Every time.
There's a smell in the room.
There is. It's a podcasty smell. No, it's the tech smell.
And it's a lot faster than normal.
Yeah, it has to be. You must be talking about that new tech smell. It's got to think this show.
This show?
This show right here.
This one here?
This one right here is really fast and part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. I'm Nick.
And I'm Scott.
And we're here.
We are. And we're not going to be in just a moment because we're going to throw it over to Todd Cochran, the CEO of Raw Voice and the creator of the Podcast Awards, as he's going to give us the state of the podcast industry and announce the Podcast Award nominees for this year.
Yeah, you got True Blood, you got, Walking Dead, and you got Todd that always wants to supersede us. It's fine. It's why you can record. If you go over to, because wherever you may be and however you may be accessing our show, whether it be Facebook, iTunes, Zune, which is still around, f5live.tv or any other streaming service, thank you for making us part of your day. But of course, there's one place you can go to get all of the content as it happens on your phone, computer, or tablet. That's by going to f5live.tv. Click the subscribe buttons on the right-hand side. Audio, video, social, special events. We are counting down right now, and I'll let you see what I'm looking at just real quick because I think it's kind of interesting. We bring up, that's Todd right there next to our playlist, and we're looking at that right now. So, we're watching him, watching us, watching him.
And he's going to go live in just a moment. He has started talking, so we are going to kick it over to Todd Cochran.
And make sure
for the Podcast Awards.
And make sure you stay tuned because we're going to do our show shortly after that at f5live.tv/join us. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. And we're going to go to Todd right now. We are simulcasting the Podcast Awards as we speak. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Bear with me one moment while we get that ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8th Annual Podcast Awards slate announcement. My name is Todd Cochran, and I want to welcome you to the 8th Annual event. I'm really excited to share some great information with you guys tonight and also share a lot of details about the whole nomination process, what we saw in in reviewing the super plethora of shows that were nominated. But as a way of introduction, again, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm the founder of the Podcast Awards. This is the 8th annual event. And what we've done over the past 8 years is try to recognize shows in the podcasting space that have great engagement, great fans, and great sites to go along with it. Hey, I'm also the founder of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com, and I'm also a podcaster. I do a podcast twice weekly over at geeknewscentral.com, so definitely get over there and check that out. I just passed my 800th show here last month, so I tell you, if you're new to podcasting, wait till you get up to that 800 number. It becomes routine, but nothing is routine tonight. We've got a great lineup for you. And really, the basis of the awards when we first started was a way to give back and to recognize shows that were really going the extra mile in really trying to build an audience and do great things. And the space has changed, obviously, over the past 8 years, but one thing that hasn't is our listeners and viewers that watch our shows. And really, the Podcast Awards is about the people's choice. The people come in, and listeners come in and nominate the shows that have been nominated. And I tell you, we've got a great lineup for you tonight, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of the podcasting space before we get into the actual slate. But I do want to make a couple of quick announcements. If your show makes the slate tonight, I need to hear from you within the next 5 days. So, okay, if you're catching this later, I need you to contact me within the next 5 days, and please send me an email at podcast@podcastconnect.com. It's real easy because we're going to get you connected for what we're going to be doing at the awards ceremony. We've had a fantastic announcement where Leo Laporte over at twit.tv has agreed to be our MC. So we're going to have a great show for you at the Podcast Awards. that is going to be happening, I believe. Let me look at the calendar. I should have had this wrote down. It's going to be on, I believe, January 7th. Of course, the one thing I don't write down tonight. Yes, it'll be Monday, January 7th. And of course, it's going to happen in conjunction with the new Media Expo. So if you want to collect your trophy, you're going to have to come to the awards ceremony. We're going to try to get all of the 220 shows to the awards ceremony. Plus, we've got room for your fans as well. We're going to be opening up a pre-registration for you to basically RSVP for the awards ceremony here in the next couple of days. And I'll be providing you a link to that website where you can to pre-register. We're also going to be giving some great discounts to actually attend the show for everyone that has made the slate. Every show that has been nominated, we're going to be trying to reach out to you and also offering you up a discount on getting access to the show as well. So again, if you make the slate tonight, I need to hear from you as soon as possible. Podcastconnect.com. Send me your name, your telephone number, and your show name, and that will really help me out a lot. So turn your fans into podcasters and invite them to New Media Expo. Well, I tell you, we got one thing about this event, and I just have to tell you guys that the folks over at New Media are really going to be helping us out here, and so definitely check out the New Media Expo website. This is really critical for you to go over there and check it out. This is a great event. Go to nmxlive.com is the website. nmxlive.com. But this event would not be possible without our sponsors. I'm going to tell you, our sponsors have really stepped up this year. We weren't able to make our goal last year in getting trophies, but we are past goal. We have made the minimum amount of money that I needed to get to pay for the $3,700 for all of the trophies for all the categories. Plus, we've got enough money to pay the administrator and the accounting firm. And so it looks like this year I won't have to be digging into my own checkbook. So we want to thank all the sponsors. And I want to start off by talking about our corporate sponsors for just a second. I want to thank Cliff over at Podcast Answer Man for being one of our corporate sponsors. You definitely want to check Cliff's site out. There's a link to his site via his banner at the podcastawards.com website. Definitely check Cliff's site out as well. And of course, we also want to thank Entrepreneurs on Fire for being one of our corporate sponsors as well. And really, that's what it's all about. These two groups have really came in and really supported us in a big, big way. As well, we've also had some support as well from my company over at Raw Voice and helping us with the hosting of this event tonight and basically taking care of the bandwidth. And definitely want to thank them for helping us get the word out as well. But really, what it boiled down to is what really helps us make goal on all of our sponsorship is the actual podcast sponsors that come in. We had Geek News Central, which is my own show, which I sponsor every year, even though that I'm a host, I provide money to this. We also want to thank the folks that are actually going to help you become a better blogger. So all these sites are linked at podcastawards.com. So definitely check it out. And of course, we want to thank the folks. Oops, make sure I got the right button here. Want to thank the folks at Your Boss Blows, Make Money Online. So that link is at podcastawards.com. Also, How to Program with Java is one of our sponsors. We want to thank Jeffrey Powers over at Day in Tech History for his sponsorship of his podcast sponsorship as well. And then we'll get into the rest of our podcast sponsors. Comedy Forecast. I want to, this show has been a sponsor here for at least the past 4 or 5 years. And so definitely check out his show at comedyforecast.com. Of course, the folks over at the other side of Live. And again, all these links are at podcastawards.com. And we want to thank the folks over at the Pokemon Podcast as well. Folks at mousechat.net. And of course, we've got some very, very cool. These folks have a great show. I've been listening to it. It's called New Wax Podcast. Go over and check it out. And if you're in the business, of course, the Great Business Project Podcast as well. And we also got some prize sponsors this year as well. And the folks over at Music Radio have basically come up, and every winner of every category is going to get some cool audio clips. So you want to thank them for their sponsorship as well. Really, the sponsors really have allowed us to do things this year that we haven't been able to do in the past. And I definitely want to thank them. But more importantly, I want to thank the 44 listeners that put in over 700 hours of work to review. Each of the 44 listeners got 4 categories to review. And typically it takes 3 to 4 hours to review a category. And because there was so many shows that got nominated this year, and actually in the, every category had we would normally send over 20, the top 20 that was nominated. But this year we had to send over the top 50 because the delta was so tight on so many shows. So they spent a lot of time doing reviews. So each category got looked at extensively. And I feel we have a great slate for you tonight. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So let's just talk about a few stats about what happened during the nomination period. We had over 9 million listener and viewer nominations over that 15-day period. The top nomination day, we had over 500,000 nominations come in. We had 5,000 shows that were actually nominated this year. That was almost double. I mean, matter of fact, almost triple what it was last year. And the average listener nominated 8 shows when they came and visited the website, which was incredible. Usually it's been 3 to 4. So meaning most shows got 200 plus nominations alone. So that just kind of gives you an idea where it's at. Now, some shows obviously had lower numbers and some shows had bigger numbers, but that was kind of the average that we saw during a nomination period. So what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the data that we found during the actual review process. And this is what I refer to as my state of the podcasting sphere. And this is really gives some detailed information. This is more for the podcasters out there to understand what we saw when we were looking at your sites. And I tell you, there's a lot of disheartening information in here, but also a lot of positive information as well. And I got a little bit to talk about to those of you that are doing video and some of the things that you may be doing wrong. But I'll go through some of these stats so that you guys will get a feel. So you get a pen and paper ready, and I'll share this, or actually you'll be able to watch this later on replay. So luckily, only 10% had generic-looking pages like a Libsyn page or similar generics. Basically, they actually had branding wrapped around them. So 90% of the actual websites that we looked at actually had great branding, which is actually a great improvement over what we've seen in the past couple of years. Sound and audio quality was fantastic across the board. Very few shows had low-quality audio. There was some Blog Talk Radio folks. The audio was absolutely horrendous. So, if you're looking for audio quality, definitely don't be hosting your audio over there. If you do, record it separately, put it up separately as a podcast, but do not distribute that audio from that website. 27% of the sites made you dig for their show, aka when you went to the homepage, you're like, where's their podcast? And some had a podcast link, some didn't, but 27% of you made us dig to figure out where your show is actually at on your website. 34% of sites did not have a way to play or download the media on the page, which I found absolutely incredible at this state in the game with the number of plugins that are available for podcasting, why people didn't have a download link or a play button on their page. You can almost bet that those sites did not make the slate just because of really a weak site design. Now, here's where it really blew us away was 73% of the video podcasters did not have embeds for their listeners. And they had a video up on their site, but no way to embed and take that and share that somewhere. So what's even more disheartening is 70% of the video podcasters did not have an RSS feed for their video. They were putting their video up on Blip or Vimeo or YouTube, but there was no way to subscribe to that video podcast. There was the audio portion that they were doing that they were posting, but you couldn't find a feed for the video. So if you wanted to subscribe to the video feed, you couldn't. So it just goes to tell me that a lot of shows, while they think they're video podcasting, they truly are not. Only 9% of sites had invalid podcast RSS feeds, which is down considerably. Again, a number of folks think they're podcasters just by putting their video up on YouTube. We couldn't find them in iTunes. So nearly 8% of the shows, audio and video, we couldn't find in iTunes. We couldn't find an RSS feed, nothing. It was just like, you're a podcaster, but YouTube is, that's a great place to distribute your content, but you're not podcasting. 33% of shows had an RSS icon on their default landing page. It was a blog feed only, which is smart. 49% had an RSS icon on their default landing page. It was podcast ready. In other words, a podcast dedicated feed. 23% had a podcast RSS feed buried on a subpage that we finally found. So we had to dig. But 28% of shows did not have an RSS feed or an iTunes feed that we could find. So we were digging, trying to find the links. And sometimes we got lucky and sometimes we didn't. 71% of shows are still using FeedBurner. I'm telling you, with FeedBurner being up in the air and the issues that they're having there and what we're seeing with slow update times and all that stuff, really considered a strategy on FeedBurner. And really, I've never been a fan of FeedBurner, but with Google not having touched it in years, it's just one of those services that's really making us nervous right now. And our number one over at Raw Voice, our number one ticket, the support ticket comes in for people that are having troubles with FeedBurner updating. So a lot of you are out there on FeedBurner. Have a backup plan if FeedBurner ever goes away. Not saying that it is, and don't want to be alarmist, but have a plan, okay? 26% of shows have an RSS feed larger than the 250 kilobits allowable via the iTunes spec. 61% had a visible iTunes subscription icon on their default landing page. 57% had a visible iTunes subscription icon someplace in their website. 12% had a visible email contact on their address. So that means 98% of you don't want your fans sending you an email, and that just blows me away. You're not looking for feedback from your audience. So 12%, only 12% of you had a visible email contact. 8% of you had a newsletter sign-up page. 21% had a call-in number or a widget for listeners to leave an audio comment for the show. 90% of the shows had 90% of the sites had their own .coms, which I applaud. That number's up dramatically. It's nothing like having your own .com, having your own property, having your own brand. 73% had less than one paragraph of show notes for their past 5 podcasts, which really doesn't help you when Google comes calling and tries to index you. So have some show notes. Have something on there that's going to describe what is in each episode. 63% of shows were creating audio only. 18% were creating video only. 16% of shows were blogging as well as some form of podcast content, which is pretty good. I'm really surprised. So that number's up. So some of you are blogging, also doing audio. Some of you are blogging and also doing video. But 23% of the sites were creating audio, video, and also doing blog posts. And from what I'm going to share with you a little later on some stats, those shows are going to win big time. 31% of sites were mobile ready. iPhone, Android were basically you could go there and you could see the sites with a iPhone or an Android. 12% did not have their shows listed on Blueberry.com. That shows most of them did, which is great. 60% had a Twitter link on their website. 72% had a Facebook link on their website. So more of you had a Facebook or a Twitter link than you did an RSS feed for people to subscribe to your shows, which blows me away. 15% had a Google link, a Google Plus link. Now, here's where it really gets down in the dirt. And I'm going to get into the announcement here in just a minute, but I'm going to share some last stats with you. 25% of shows did a weekly podcast. 23% of the shows did more than one episode per week. The rest of the shows were less than 1 week or greater, basically, or 1 week, basically, you maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month. So here's what we did. We pulled some stats, and what we know and what I could tell from what we've seen in our databases I have access to over at Raw Voice and Blueberry Stats, shows that do weekly shows grow at about a 10%. Shows that do not do a weekly show grow at 10 times slower rate. Shows that do more than one show a week grow faster, 8 times faster than other shows. Shows that do audio, video, and blog grow 23 times faster than shows that do either audio or video only. So that just gives you a little hint where the space is heading. So of the 5,000 plus nominated shows, 4,300 were using our stat system over at Raw Voice. So I was able to have the guys go in and pull some data. And this is what, just real quickly, what we found. 82% of the audiences of those 4,300 shows were in the United States. 7% were in Canada, 5% in the UK. iTunes on average was 53% of the subscriber base. Browser, aka browser, could be Firefox, IE, Safari, any type of browser, still makes up the largest second share of views and listens. In other words, people are coming to your site and playing it right in the browser. For those shows that are distributed on Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, and Google TV, they were their audiences was about 6% of their total audience on those devices. The iPad was the number one mobile media consumption device via a browser. And for the shows that we could tell that had an app, less than 1% of the audiences were using apps that we can detect. So app usage for an actual show that had an app, very, very low utilization. Average of 93 clients per show. In other words, there's 93 different types of devices that are consuming. So that could be a BlackBerry, it could be an Android, it could be Google TV, any type of thing that can consume media. Average show had 93 clients consuming their media. Average number of countries was that had at least 10 listeners. Of those 4,300 was 106. So 106 countries of those 4,300 shows had at least 10 listeners or more, which is pretty crazy. So here's an interesting, just general fact that we saw. There was a very small fall off on listeners during the summer months this year. And usually June, July, August, we see this huge drop, and did not see that this year, which is really incredible because we normally see this, but it was just a minor drop this year. So don't leave your audiences in the blind during the summer months. So anyway, that's what I've got for kind of some quick stats on what we saw. I know you want me to talk about the slate, and we're going to get into that right now. I got to load the right page here and make sure that we're on the right one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move straight forward into.
You're listening real quick to the Podcast Awards hosted by Todd Cochran, the CEO of Raw Voice and the creator of the founder of the Podcast Awards here on F5 Live and F5Live.tv. We're going to go back to Todd because he is still talking about some interesting stats. The stats are over. Now we have announcements in the slate coming up.
Yeah, which is what we're kind of excited about. We're hoping that we're going to be in the list. Hopefully you got enough of our listeners nominated us. Fingers crossed. So now back to Todd Cochran.
And Avram Pilch, the online editorial director for Laptop Magazine, will be on as soon as we get done with this simulcast.
So if you're a podcaster and you're listening to this, take some of that data that I've just shared with you and improve your websites and make them better so that your audience members can have freer access to your content and be able to listen. You can almost be guaranteed if you go to every one of these shows that made the slate, you're going to see some things in common across all the shows. So let me go ahead and let's move into the actual nominees. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to start off with the best video podcast, and we'll go all the way through the 20 categories, and we'll cover the last two, People's Choice and Best Produced. Those are the top two categories at the end. But let's go ahead and drum roll, please. Let's go ahead and move right into Best Video Podcast. And the shows that made the slate this year, congratulations to Bleeding Edge TV, GeekBeat.tv, NASA Edge, Scam School, Tech Chop, TED Talks, The iPad Show, The Totally Rad Show, The Vergecast, and The Young Turks. Congratulations to those shows that made Best Video Podcast slate. Our next category, Business, Career Tools, Freakonomics, Livelihood Show, Manager Tools, Smart Passive Income Podcast, The Dave Ramsey Show, The Disciplined Investor, The Engaging Brand, The Townstone Financial Show, and the Wall Street Journal This Morning Podcast. Congratulations to those shows. In the comedy category, Beauty and the Beast, Citizen Radio, Comedy Bang Bang, Fuckcast, Metrobuzz, My Brother and Me, The Green Light Show, The Ramen Noodle, Walking the Room, WTF with Mark Rohn, Culture and Arts, Awakenings, Geek in the City, Old Time Radio Westerns, Opera Now, Sword and Laser, the China History Podcast, the History of World War II Podcast, The Moth, the Open Book Audio Podcast, and Theater Geeks. In the education category, Caustic Soda, Day in Tech History, Ending Human Trafficking Podcast, Grammar Girl, Gunfighter Cast, Hardcore History, Smart People Podcast, the British History Podcast, the History Chicks, the Newbie Writers Podcast. In the entertainment category, Authentic Life Radio, Hollywood Babble On, NSFW, Once Podcast, RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk, Rob Has a Website, The Fringe Podcast, The Josie Show, The Manhattan Aaron Show, the Unofficial One Piece Podcast. In food and drink, Alcoholwood, I guess I just destroyed that, Basic Brewing Radio, Dining with Doug and Karen, Mike and Tom Eat Snacks, Mommy Cocktail Hour, Should I Drink That, Spilled Milk, The Beerist, The Splendid Table, The Sporkful. In gaming, Bad Dice Podcast, Gamertag Radio, Giant Bombcast, Minecraft Me, Orange Lounge Radio, Rebel FM, The Geek Box, The Independent Characters, The Indoor Kids, The Rooster Teeth Podcast. In general category, DH Unplugged, Greetings from Nowhere, Internet Box Podcast, Night Lock Podcast, Philosophy in Action, Rebellion Radio, Secretly Timid, The Conversation Hub, The Higher Side Chats, The Other Side of Live. In GLBT, Bend Over and Take It, Cocktails and Cream Puffs, Feast of Fun, Foul Monkeys, Gay Sunday Brunch, Homoground, Ramble Redhead, Scream Queens, The Queen City Experience, Throwing Shade. In Health and Fitness, Get Fit Guy, Half Size Me, Iron Radio, Jillian Michaels Podcast, Nutrition Diva, Recovered, #1 recovery podcast, Superhuman Radio, The Marathon Show, The Mental Illness Happy Hour, and The Paleo Solution. In the mature category, Between the Sheets, Live on the Swing Set, Paging Dr. Nerdlove, PNS Explosion, Savage Love, Sex Nerd Sandra, The Adam Carolla Show, The Naughty Show, The Stuart Badasso Show, Vent Chat. In the movies and film category, Seventh Row Center, Doug Loves Movies, Film Sack, How Did This Get Made? Is It a Bicycle? Spill, Star Wars in Character, The Hollywood Outsider, We Hate Movies, Yes, It's Bad. In Podsafe Music, Americana Rock Mix, Beat Feed, Coverville, Freight Train Boogie, Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, James Van Adossel Show, Livewire Podcast Radio, Rundgren Radio, The Americana Music Show, The Captain Sib Show. In Politics and News, Common Sense with Dan Carlin, Electric Politics, No Agenda, Slate Political Gabfest, The Best of the Left, The Bugle, The Majority Report, The Morning Stream, The Rachel Maddow Show, This Is Hell. In the Religion and Inspiration category, a Survival Guide for Christian Men, Ardent Atheists, Cognitive Dissonance. Boy, I cannot pronounce that to save my life, can I, folks? Encouraging Others Through Christ, Mars Hill Church Sermons, More Than One Lesson, Mormon Faircast, Reasonable Doubts, Strangers and Aliens, The Sci-Fi Christian. In the science category, Astronomy Cast, Mysterious Universe, NASA Science Cast, Paracast, Radiolab, Science Friday, Stuff to Blow Your Mind, Stuff You Should Know, The Naked Scientist, The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. In the sports category, I think you guys should notice something here. I think ESPN, there's going to be a war on for votes. Well, anyway, in this category, CBSSports.com Fantasy Football, ESPN Fantasy Focus Baseball, ESPN Fantasy Focus Football, ESPN Fantasy Underground, ESPN Football Today, Golf Smarter, Locked on Jazz, Merrick and Wazinski Show, Scarborough Country, and Who Day Weekly. In the tech category, Build and Analyze, F5 Live, Google at a Glance, Podcatcher, Ruby Rogues, Stolen Droid Podcast, Tech Stuff, The Audacity to Podcast, This Is Only a Test, Your Website Engineer. In the travel category, Amateur Traveler, Be Our Guest Podcast, Coaster Radio, Disney Park Podcast, Mouse Chat, Mouse Allergia, The Season Pass Podcast, Wednesday Show, WDW Radio, Wedway Radio. Okay, and our final two categories this is where it really gets tough. And I tell you, everyone wants to win one of these two categories. And I think everyone did a good job this year in trying to essentially stay in the boundaries of nominating themselves in one of the top two categories and one of the actual lower categories. We only had 3 shows this year that, for some reason, told their audience to nominate them in every category. And we really couldn't tell where they belong based on the votes because it looked like they just loaded the votes. So those 3 shows really lost out because they didn't make the cut. If they'd have focused on one category, they probably would have made the category. But don't ever tell your audience to nominate you in every category. It's kind of dumb. So let's go ahead, and let me go ahead here and announce the last 2 categories. And we're going to go ahead and switch to Best Produced. Congratulations for these shows that have made the slate: Best of the Left, Caustic Soda, Dubious Intent, Gamertag Radio, Geekazine, Livelihood Show, Podcatcher, Polycast, The Fringe Podcast, and The Tribe. And for those that are trying to win the People's Choice Award, Bleeding Edge TV, Cocktails and Cream Puffs, ESPN Fantasy Focus Football, Internet Box, Manager Tools, Rooster Teeth Podcast, Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn, The Comedy Button, The Disciplined Investor, and The Majority Report. So congratulations to all 220 shows that made the slate. It is not a perfect process here on how we do this. It's the best process that we've really found over the past 8 years to do. We're going to open up voting on November 1st. Your audience can vote for your show every day. And what we really do here is this is where we kind of separate the men from the boys. I guess or the pros from the amateurs, or I don't know how we really want to phase this, but it's all about engagement. Many, many times, smaller shows have whipped butt on bigger shows. So I'm going to tell you, all of these numbers were relatively close this year. And a lot of great shows didn't make the cut because it's just some simple things that they could do to make their websites better. And I tell you, it's an imperfect process, but it's the best we can do. And I congratulate all shows that have made the slate. I want to thank all of our sponsors here. It's really, really impressive that in the economy and the way the economy is right now, that we're able to make goal on getting the award, basically the money for the trophies. The trophies have been ordered, and all we're waiting now is for basically November 15th to know who the winners are. We are not going to announce the winners on November 15th. What we are going to do is we will have the award ceremony at New Media Expo. All right. And we want you to come out to the actual event and come to the award ceremony. Again, if your show just made the list, I need to hear from you within the next 5 days. podcast@podcastconnect.com. I need your name, your show name, and a telephone number to reach out to you, okay? But we're going to do the awards ceremony. We'll have it live. Don't worry, it'll be streamed. But on January 7th is when these 220 shows will find out who won. And we want you out in Vegas with us. I hope that you'll take time and consider to come out. It's a great event. This is a way for you to build your show, meet people in the industry. The folks over at New Media have really done a lot to shape the show this year so that bloggers, podcasters, and those that are streaming have a great set of tracks. The team over there has really worked to really make podcasters feel an integral part of that show, and I hope that you'll come out. I know it's right after the holidays, but ask the boss for a few days extra off. Come out January 6th through the 8th, and basically come out to Vegas and enjoy the New Media Expo. Come to the awards ceremony. We're going to have Leo Laporte there. He's going to be emceeing. We're obviously going to ask him to share some insights and stuff on his show. There's going to be lots of great networking opportunities. And, of course, a lot of the podcast companies that are in the space will be there. You can come talk to them. So definitely come out to New Media Expo for the Podcast Awards. Good luck in your voting period. This has been my pleasure to bring this to you today and announce this slate of winners. We will not have another live event until the Podcast Awards ceremony in Las Vegas. And just plan on coming, okay? Go ahead and block it out now. And basically, again, send me that email, and we're going to get you hooked up. And we want your audience to come and celebrate in the awards ceremony. And even if you don't win, you're going to have a great experience. You're going to be able to rub elbows with really the biggest shows in the space, share notes, do that networking thing, and really it's very valuable. So there's a link at podcastawards.com that's basically going to take you over to the New Media Expo website. Go ahead and click on that. Get registered today, and we'll see you at New Media Expo for the Podcast Awards ceremony. Again, I have no actual official ties to New Media. I'm completely separate from them. We are looking for a sponsor for the actual award ceremony. So if your company wants to get some serious recognition, let us know. We want you to help us out and sponsor the actual award ceremony, because we want to have poo-poos and booze and all the good stuff that goes along with the award ceremony. And that takes green dollars to make that happen. And we hope that you'll step in. We got the trophies. We're just looking for a sponsor for the award ceremony. Again, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm the founder of the Podcast Awards. I want to thank you today for really hanging out here with me this evening. And I'm going to wrap the slate announcement up at this time. But everyone, take care. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. we'll put the show up into replay. So if you missed some of the announcement, I'm going to go ahead and automatically replay the show if you want to watch it again. And we'll be doing a blog post with all these stats and data points over at podcastconnect.com as well. And again, it's been my pleasure to bring you the show. And I haven't been watching the chat room, so I'll kind of get in there and catch up. But everyone, take care. And from Honolulu, Hawaii, everyone take care. Aloha and
Back
good
over
evening.
to us here. But as you can see,
We made it.
F5 Live nominated in full effect. That feels so good. We didn't get best produced, even though we all know in our hearts we are. You guys
It's
know.
us.
We know. But yeah, we got nominated.
We were
So
up
it's-
against some significantly bigger
Gamer
audiences
Tag
than
Radio,
that.
ESPN. Yeah, we can't do that.
There was no way this year, but you guys got us in
did it.
technology.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And you heard Todd say November 1st. Voting opens November 1st. So that's Thursday.
Yep.
And you can vote every day.
Let me tell you something, okay? We all know the real elections just don't matter. We know that. Doesn't matter. So vote for us because we matter. And it actually is tallied correctly.
Yes.
Even in Florida, there is no electoral college vote, and it's not rigged. It actually will work.
And since it's on a website, we don't have to worry about chads, which is a bonus.
Yes, that's true. So you can vote every day. We will get you the information as it happens, but make sure you're subscribed. F5live.tv. Click the subscribe button on the right-hand side. Audio, video, social, and special events. We are F5 Live. Refreshing
All of that
technology.
helps us out.
Yep.
It's that type of thing that got us to the final list.
It is. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you stay tuned. We are. I mean that's it for Todd. He signed up. He got it in under a half hour. He was able to. He said he wanted to do an hour.
Yes.
He got in for under an hour, and I think I know why, Scott. If you care to hear me out on this,
Absolutely. Go ahead.
he knew our show runs an hour every night or every week at 9 to 10.
Indeed.
So he's like, you know what? These F5 guys, they got nominated. I better step back.
They got to get to their show.
Let them do their show. and what better way than to come out of that great nomination other than this?
That music means it's that time of the show for the Pilch Point with online editorial director of Laptop Magazine, Avram Pilch. This segment is proudly powered by the Tech Podcast Network, which you've been listening to for the last half hour. Avram, are you there?
I am. How are you?
Yes, we are feeling great right now, my friend. I don't know about you, but we are doing all right.
Great.
Did you hear? Did you hear the news?
Did you guys win?
We got the nomination, which was the key thing.
It's the first round. We had to get nominated before we can actually win. So
Yeah.
voting starts November 1st, and every person can vote once a day.
So are you going to vote for us, Abram?
I am going to vote from every computer once a day.
And you have a lot of
Then
computers in that laptop office last
That's
time I
right.
checked.
I'm going to turn them all on, and I'm going to vote from every single one of them every day.
I feel bad for your ISP.
So let me get a
And
real
I'm
quick
gonna delete the cookies and vote again.
favor from you. I need I'm Avram Pilch and I approve this message.
I am Avram Pilch, and I approve this message.
Let them know who you are, Avram.
I wonder where that's going. I'm Avram Pilch. I'm the online editorial director of Laptop Magazine. You can follow me on Twitter at @GeekInChief. Read my weekly columns at laptopmag.com/geeksgeek and keep up with all the news at laptopmag.com.
I know, we got you choked up too. Out of 4,300 shows, Avram, there were 20 categories and only 10 shows were nominated for each category. And they're very different categories. Like there was only one tech category.
Right.
And we were one of 10 shows nominated, which feels absolutely great. I have to attest at least 25% of that to you. So you know,
Well, you know what? I will provide at least 25% of the votes.
that's all we need. So let's get right
The
into
funny
it.
thing is, we know he means personally.
Yeah, totally. Not counting his tweets and Facebook posts to go,
Right.
hey, vote for these guys because they're awesome. All right, Avram, let's jump right into it. Obviously, the news of the week, if you haven't been keeping up, it was, of course, the cancellation of the launch of the Sony PlayStation Updated Store. That was the big news of the week. We all knew. No, wait. That wasn't it. It was the Surface. That's what it was. And Hurricane Sandy. No, the Surface is here, and we have some interesting news. You were there in New York, hanging out with the Linux dog, I think, right?
Yes, the Linux GNU.
I'm sorry.
The Linux. It's no GNUs is good GNUs. Now, the Linux GNU was outside. I was at the Surface launch event, but actually, as we discussed last week, I was at a Surface briefing in Redmond the week before, and I got a Surface to take home, which I wasn't allowed to talk about on last week's show, or they would come kill me in my apartment. So I did get to post my review Tuesday night. But then we also got to go to the Windows 8 launch event on Thursday, which actually was not that interesting because they only reiterated the same exact things that we all knew about Windows 8 and about the Surface.
Fair enough. But
still a big deal that Windows 8 and the Surface launched this week, of course.
Right. And you posted up your review. And you put a bunch of your laptop people went on a little bit of a treasure hunt, so to speak, to the different stores related to Microsoft.
So, yeah, we had a couple of people go to a couple of different stores. I mean, obviously, if we want to be more comprehensive, we would have gone to some more stores in more parts of the country. But just to get a quick story up before everybody else on Earth did it, we went to a couple stores in the New York area. We sent our intern over to the Staples store near us and the huge Best Buy in Union Square. And we sent our editor-in-chief, because he happens to live near a Microsoft store, over to the Microsoft store in Freehold, New Jersey. And the mission was to go and act dumb, act ignorant, I should say, and talk to the sales clerks about Windows 8, see whether they could answer our questions competently and accurately, and especially in the Microsoft store, see if the sales people know the difference between Windows RT and Windows 8. And I'm pleased to report that we got pretty much fantastic answers at all three places we went. Now, there are thousands of retail outlets in the United States, so it's hard for me to believe that everybody is going to be this well trained. But at these three places, and you would certainly expect Microsoft to be well trained, we did get some pretty good answers. There were only a couple of things we got which were inaccurate, which were about the App Store, the Windows Store, but other than that, we were particularly pleased to see that at the Microsoft Store, they were really good at talking about the benefits of the Surface while also accurately telling us that it cannot run desktop apps.
Right, and that was the most important question.
Yes, because the week before, Sean Hollister, who's a journalist for The Verge, called up a bunch of Microsoft stores asking similar questions over the phone, and he got some pretty scary answers, or amusing answers, depending on whether you like to watch a train wreck. But he got some answers when he asked about Windows RT and Windows 8, and they told him that Windows RT could run all of his applications, or they said they used language that a newbie or just a regular person would understand, like, well, it only isn't good for developers. It doesn't run x86 apps, which a lot of people don't know what that means. So, we were concerned that we were concerned that we were going to walk into the store and we were going to find that, but we were pleasantly surprised to see that wasn't the case. But remember, this was the launch day. Everyone had to be on their best behavior. The people at Best Buy and at Staples actually were wearing Windows 8 shirts, so it's clear that they had their A-team there of people who had been trained. But let's see what happens a week from now, 2 weeks from now, when people go into these stores or go into stores that are a little bit more off the beaten path.
I really liked the answer from, I think it was Best Buy, on the App Store availability.
That was my favorite.
Oh, where they said that there's going to be an app. I thought it was Staples, but where they said that the App Store is also, or maybe it was Best Buy. I'm going to confuse the two, but where they said that it's coming to Android and iOS.
Yeah.
So they got that one wrong. Although the grain of truth in that is that Microsoft has said that Office is coming to Android and iOS.
It's true.
That's where this person was probably confused.
Quite possibly. It was still a fun answer.
Yeah, I mean, look, generally speaking, when you go to a retail outlet and you're looking for the answers to tech questions, you're going to get some really big whoppers, either because the salespeople are lying to you through their teeth just to get you to buy something, or because they just don't know what they're talking about. And you know what? It's really okay, because if you're living in a society where you have like computer science PhDs working at Best Buy, that means that we've really fallen down if that's the best job that they can get. So, it's good that, generally speaking, when you go to the store, you do get a teenager who's not the most versed, but you would hope that they would be well trained. And in our case, all the people we saw were well trained, except for the App Store thing.
I'm really happy to learn that at one of these retail outlets, apparently the Windows Store is doing so well that it's almost surpassing that of the Android marketplace with 100,000 apps.
That's the other thing
fantastic.
that they said. One of the guys said that there's 100,000 apps in the Windows Store. That would be pretty radical. That would be pretty radical growth, considering when I checked Friday afternoon, there were 5,200 apps in the Windows 8 App Store, and of those 5,200 apps, maybe 2 of them were good.
He could have meant that there were, 100,000 Windows apps.
But that wouldn't be accurate either, because there's something like 4 million Windows apps.
Right.
Well, he is accurate then. I mean, it is at least 100,000.
That's true.
You have to give him some credit.
Can't argue that one.
Like, if I don't know an answer, I'm going to go with my lowest common denominator. If I know it's more than 10 but less than 5, that didn't work.
Nope. Math failed right there. And there's only 2 good ones, because mine hasn't been approved yet, Avram.
That's right.
So there will soon be 3.
Exactly.
One of them being Laptop Mag's app, I believe.
We still have to work on that. I think what I've seen in going through the Windows 8 App Store, and I don't know if you guys have spent a lot of time sort of looking through the selection, but there's a lot of crap in there. There's a lot of stuff where, okay, it's like the equivalent of the flashlight app, or, it's...
There actually is a flashlight app.
There's like the games that are like card games, but there's not a lot of really good games, although NVIDIA is bringing some Tegra Zone games to the RT store. I don't think they've arrived yet. So there's just not a lot of good apps. And then I have to wonder, having tried to develop my battery test for it, and I'm not working in development like you guys are all day, how much the limitations in the SDK may be affecting the kind of apps that you can get, because I don't see a lot of apps in there that really are hardcore utilities that do a lot to the operating system. And I think the sandboxing may have something to do with that.
I think you're right. I have not considered doing an application that interacts too much with the operating system, although I can tell you that something that was supposed to be simple, I was not able to work into the first generation of the app because we were not able to figure it out.
Right.
There are some weird things. I also think there might be some glitches in the SDK, in the difference between the languages.
I mean, I was trying to, for the benefit of our listeners, at Laptop, I program all of our benchmark tests. Except for the off-the-shelf ones we do, but we try to do as many custom tests as we can to stand out in this industry. And so we have a battery test that we have created for a number of different platforms, Windows 7, before Android. We have a web version. We have a Mac version, Linux version of this test, which is a really simple thing. It just logs the battery time while surfing the web. Well, I tried to create a version of it for Windows 8 for the App Store, I wouldn't put in the App Store, but so we could sideload it with a developer license, which is a pain. And I found out that while I could, of course, make it write a log file periodically, I could not get access to the battery status. Apparently, that's blocked. So as a developer, you cannot write an app for Windows 8 or Windows RT that knows whether you're on battery or on AC and knows how much battery is left if you're on battery. That information, which was available for years in Win32 for regular desktop apps, is not available for developers who want to develop an app for Windows 8. No controlling any power settings from your app in Windows 8, as far as I can tell and from what I've read.
Intriguing.
And if they're restricting that, what else, what other functions are they restricting that you as a developer would want to use? So I think there's definitely, some concern there about, are we going to see the quality of apps that we want to see, or are developers too restricted in what they can create and still get, placement in the App Store and still be able to use? For example, the other day, it was really interesting to note that Google came out with their search app for Windows 8. It launched sometime around Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out for Windows RT. So there's a fragmentation there. If you go to the Windows 8 App Store on a Windows 8 PC, you can get the Google search app. If you are on RT, apparently you can't get it. Why that is still a mystery. If it's a technical thing or just Google suddenly decide not to do it for some reason, but apparently that's the case. So there's definitely a lot of things where we may see some limitation there, and it is disconcerting to look at the App Store, and it was disconcerting to be at the event where we were expecting Adobe to come out and show off their Windows 8 Photoshop, or, I don't know, Corel WordPerfect to come out, or somebody who makes productivity apps to come out, talk about what they'd done, or even someone who makes serious games to come out and endorse Windows 8, and not a single partner was there to do that.
See, it felt more to me, and I wasn't there at the event, but I was able to see a lot of it on the various postings between you guys and some other journalists, and it felt more of a celebration than an announcement type thing, like, oh, look here, ha ha ha, we're Windows 8, ha ha ha, yay, type thing. And, that's great. Like, I'm cool with that. But I'm with you 100%. For the people who were on the fence about buying it, that didn't do anything. The people who were already in love with it were like, yay, let's have a party. It sounds good. We're at the pier. Let's have a good time. For the people who were not really sure if it was going to perform as well as they've heard, it didn't really push them to go, I have to buy one today or tomorrow.
Exactly. It didn't answer some of the really important questions about the Windows 8 launch and Windows RT. It certainly didn't answer the question about consumer adoption and how quickly consumers are going to learn to use the new interface, and whether the apps are going to be there on time. I mean, when Steven Sinofsky, the vice president of Windows and Windows Live, came out and said, "Well, don't count the number of apps. It's not. We're just this is just our grand opening." There was kind of a collective sigh among the journalists,
right?
As we had all shown up there, kind of hoping that by launch you would have seen more apps. Yes, this is the launch day, but they've had the App Store available and the SDK available to people for a year now. So I'm sure that the major players in the software industry have been able to do what they needed to come out with an app, and simply haven't done so.
I will tell you that the API changed twice since the initial launch, so that didn't make it better.
And most of the apps that I'm seeing there are are like publishers apps, which I guess is pretty easy to do in HTML5, because all you're really doing is kind of reproducing your website in a different format. So, of course, we see lots of apps from places like ABC and, CBS and broadcasters. I think there's an Engadget app. So it's not hard to create that kind of app, because it doesn't have to really do much more than display information like you would on a web page.
Right. But overall, okay, so getting down to brass tacks here, now that you've had one and lied to us about not having one. No, now that it's out and it's in customers' hands and it's in, journalists' hands, and everyone's gotten to be able to see or play with it or whatever the case may be, it's still a viable product for a good amount of people.
It is a product that is the hardware is extremely well made, except for the camera, which is the worst camera that I've ever used on any mobile device. It is 1 megapixel, and it feels like about a third of a megapixel.
Like,
Apart from that, it is a good piece of hardware. Love the kickstand, like the design. Screen is decent considering that it's lower pixel density than a lot of its competitors. The touch keyboard and the type cover are both pretty interesting. I still found that the type cover was better for typing, but the concept of it is good. And of course, the fact that you get free Office is really, I think, a major selling point. That being said, I think that when you look at it, it suffers from the lack of apps even worse than Windows 8 does because it can't run your legacy apps. So, for example, I think about how I would use it, and perhaps this is how you would use it too, right? I would say, oh, well, I'd like to carry this with me, and if I have to do some web development or some HTML or something, this would be a nice device to pop open, an editor and do it, and then FTP my work up or something like that. Well, none of those things are available. There's no there's no like good text editor. Well, there's Notepad or whatever, but there's no serious, development environment on there for Windows RT. There's no FTP software for Windows RT that I could see. There's no VPN software for Windows RT that I could see that would get you into the network where you have to upload something. So that's the developer angle. Then if you're a graphic software person, there's not really much there for you either. But if you're an office worker and you want to do Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and OneNote, then there is something there for you. If you're a student, then this is pretty good for you. I would like to see I would advise people, who aren't satisfied with just that group of apps, to maybe not get this device, but maybe to hold out and wait and see, okay, when are the apps that I need going to come out, so that I can do what it is I need to do on this product.
I will tell you that there is a text editor that's designed for programmers with good code completion and color coding and everything. I can't for the life of me come up with it offhand, but I messed with it, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday before Windows came out officially.
That would be, I would love to find that, because I did go and do a search to the App Store to try and find such a thing while I was doing my review. Of course, there's also fragmentation. So if you were looking at it on the Windows 8 App Store, it may not have been on the Windows RT Store.
That's true.
They're not identical.
Yeah.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be there, but as I said, with Google, they didn't do it, so it's quite possible. But I think all of us who reviewed the product liked the hardware, we liked the concept. I think in the competitive space where they're trying to compete with an iPad and they're also trying to compete with a notebook, they don't have the ecosystem set up yet where it's a really strong choice against, say, a major Android or iPad slate because of the number of apps that you can get. And they don't have, and against a notebook, well, they have a decent case because they've got Office, but you don't have all the other notebook apps that a person can get. So I think that's where obviously the Pro is going to be Surface Pro is going to be a really compelling device. And if RT can just get a few of these key apps, I mean, we're not talking about a need for 100,000 apps. We need maybe 20 really key apps for it, like a really good image editor, that coder that you're talking about, maybe Visual Studio for RT because people are going to want to develop for it on it. Maybe some good VPN software to get you in, maybe just some more productivity titles, some key games, maybe for people who want to play games on it. And I think then you'll really have something.
Agreed. So there you have it. Avram's take on that.
After the show, we'll talk about apps.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, Avram, give me your contacts one more time, my friend.
Sure. So you can follow me on Twitter at @GeekandChief. Read all of my columns at laptopmag.com/geeksgeek, and keep up with all of our news about the Surface, Windows 8, Windows RT, and all the other operating systems on laptopmag.com.
Thanks, Avram. We'll see you next week, and then in 2 weeks, I will be seeing you in New York, and we will be revealing a very special hands-on look at something awesome. Isn't that right?
Correct. Maybe more than one awesome thing. We'll see what we have.
All right, Avram. We'll talk to you then.
Talk to you then.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, so this show, whoa.
Wow.
What
a long time since we've had that music.
What is happening?
You played it in the wrong player.
Oh, I sure did. You know,
good job.
This show is throwing me off.
I know.
We're going to jump right into the news. It's not going to be much news.
We're going to do it quick
and painless.
We want to get out of here too.
To go celebrate.
Indeed.
That's what we do. So
indeed. I'm really excited.
So let's move right along. Some important news that you have to know about. We bring it to you right here on F5 Live. This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live are proudly powered by RiffTrex.
Make fun of movies. The guys who used to do Mystery Science Theater 3000 are back and doing what they do best, making fun of your favorite movies. From blockbusters to D- movies. They've got it all. For $3 or $4, you download the MP3, play it along with your DVD or Netflix stream, and laugh and laugh and laugh. And you can get all the information about that by going to f5live.tv and clicking the link
in the center
over you.
Right there
you
for the
go.
People watching on YouTube.
So some interesting news from Yahoo this week. As Windows 8 launches and Internet Explorer 10 hits the first of its platforms, because it's not yet available for Windows 7 for whatever reason, Yahoo decided we're not going to listen to the Do Not Track tag coming from Internet Explorer 10. Why?
Yeah, it blows my mind, especially when they're trying to become more relevant.
Right.
This week.
We've got a new CEO who says we want to focus on mobile, which is what Windows 8 is designed for. The only place that Internet Explorer 10 currently exists. And then they announce, oh, by the way, privacy, screw you. So the Do Not Track is similar to the Do Not Call list. Except it doesn't have the legal implications.
Right.
It's a non-written standard that the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, supports but has not approved.
Right.
So because of that, Yahoo can kind of get away with this. The problem is that there will be no indication to the user that their privacy settings are being ignored. So why have they done this? Because Internet Explorer 10, by default, has Do Not Track turned on. It's the only browser to ever do it, and Yahoo is pissed. All of their money comes from advertising, and they can only find out about you if they can track you. So, since IE10 says no you may not, Yahoo says we don't care about IE10. And there you have it.
Blows my mind. I get where they're at. But at the same time, I can't support it.
Right.
Because I'm all for the Do Not Track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great thing. Sometimes they grab a little bit too much information.
It's true.
And this is when DNT is important.
The World Wide Web Consortium is going to be working on HTML5 proper when it releases, which the standard has not been written, despite all of this HTML5 programming talk. When it releases, HTML5 may or may not have the Do Not Track built in to the spec. If it does, and they say the browser can choose to turn it on by default, Yahoo's going to have to start following it. If W3C never does set a standard, technically, it's an opt-in type scenario,
right,
and they can totally ignore it without telling the user. Google got in trouble for something similar recently.
Transparency is all we ask for. You know?
We'll see what happens here.
Moving right along, Nifty Gifties on F5 Live. Hey, they are nifty.
They're Nifty Gifties.
Proudly powered by SNS Audio and the Sync by 50 over-ear wireless headphones. Look, if you want quality sound reproduction at an affordable price, and you want them to look awesome, look no further than the Sync by 50's over-ear wireless headphones. Digital 16-bit lossless audio quality, available in 3 awesome colors: the black, silver, obsidian, and of course the apple white. Make sure you get one and then get 3 more for your friends. I say that because one transmitter can wirelessly stream up to 4 headsets at the same time. It's the only place that you can get that, and the quality is awesome. So get yours today. SMS audio sync by 50s. F5live.tv. Click the link
In the center.
right there. You definitely don't want to do it on an Android device, though, and I say that not to, eliminate all the Android people, but to make sure that the Android people are aware of a problem that could exist with an app that you've probably downloaded, you and 185 million others. So, our wonderful friends over in Germany have discovered a major security vulnerability in Android apps.
We have friends in Germany?
Sometimes. Sennheiser.
Fair enough.
So, apparently, Android devices have been hijacked by innocent-looking apps and security issues, and we've known this for like a year. We've reported on these kind of things. Well,
Boy, this sounds just like the Chrome thing recently.
it's gotten worse. Germany's research teams at the, I'm going to butcher these names, and I apologize in advance, Leibniz University of Hanover and Philipps University of Marburg. Close enough?
Leibniz and Marburg is probably right.
All right. Found that 41 apps that were available in the Play Store last week, currently, are leaking your private information as the data moves from the server, or from the smartphone to the server.
Nice.
They were able to use a local area network to replicate the issues and found it to be true.
Sure. You can put a Wi-Fi sniffer. It's easy enough.
Yeah. Bank account information, payment credentials for PayPal, American Express,
Incredible.
Facebook, email and cloud storage credentials, messages, pictures, IP cameras, remote
Nice.
server information if you have one of the VPN apps on some of them.
IP cameras is awesome. You can sign into somebody's camera in their house and watch them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is estimated that the problem can affect as many as 185 million people. That's if each person downloaded only one of those apps one time. So up to 185 million people.
Wow.
But it could be like somebody downloaded like all 41 of those apps.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not, they don't know. They just have the stats.
There's 185 million data points.
Yep. They went as far as to not disclose the specific apps that are doing this, obviously.
No kidding.
But they have said that not only has it affected that many people, but they listed several examples. So they listed specifically how they were able to replicate the problems and then sent that report to those developers and said, fix this. Developers all over the place will not comment, but they have asked, hey, developers, fix this. It's found in your app. Now, the good news is there's a little bit of good news. There's a silver lining, right?
Is the good news that the developers didn't do it on purpose?
Maybe. Most of the issues that lie in the apps are not the direct apps. Like, it's not the Bank of America app. It's not the Facebook app. It's the third-party app that links to, let's say, like your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Flickr. Like the guy that made that app.
Sure.
Or the guy that made the store your bank information on a third-party app. People download these things.
I know.
Because Android users are the most notorious for this.
Because Apple doesn't allow them, Microsoft won't allow them now. It's going to be only Google that lets each and every submission through.
So that's what's happening. It's a third-party thing. So it's not like, the 185 million people are smart. Right? You could say that, right?
Indeed.
I didn't say it in the article. I was very...
Diplomatic.
Yeah. Now I can say it. They were dumb.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So yeah, if you have an issue, we won't be able to tell you what it is. Just don't download third-party apps. Like, download the Facebook app.
Sure.
Download the Instagram app. Download the Bank of America app.
It's just a smarter solution.
Don't download the syndicate. Don't do that. We will log into Facebook for you, or you could just log into Facebook.
More importantly, like, if you do download one of these things, particularly Facebook, Twitter, I don't know about Instagram, but Facebook and Twitter in particular use OAuth. There is a particular screen that will come up and ask for your information. Mm-hmm. It's specially branded. It is the only way that it's allowed to work. If something else comes up, delete the application.
Yep. Everyone knows what it looks like.
Don't use a third-party application for your banking.
People have done that. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane?
Yes, it is.
I don't even have, like, a bank app. I just go to the website because I know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
No risk of security threat.
Yeah, but you can't picture your checks that way.
It's true.
So,
but don't download a third party. Store your BOA and PayPal and Serve account here. No.
Yeah.
No.
Why? Is it easier? No. Okay, well, doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
So I don't like that. At all. Moving on.
Yep.
Ironically enough, this Extra Life section on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Ha ha! And just clean that floor. Listen, Surface is here. Surface RT is here. And if you listen to Abram, you know that there's some good games right now. NVIDIA has some great games. And there is Wordament.
That's all I need.
Wordament is the only reason anybody needs to go pick up a Surface right now.
Right now.
So you can go play games. Whether you're a student, you're a small business, or if you're a developer.
Developer.
If you're a small business, you'll probably have to buy like, 4 or 5. But you can do that at the Microsoft Store by going to f5live.tv. Click that link.
In the center.
All right, so Nintendo's in the news.
Yeah. Proudly powered by Microsoft. So Nintendo. And we're going to talk about Nintendo and Sony, actually, a little bit. Just to keep it interesting.
Why not?
So, when Nintendo originally announced the Wii U, some people, a lot of people, most people were surprised that the console was only going to support one controller. I was not one of those people. In fact, I understood. It was going to bring the price through the roof, and they were going to try and hit that $300 sweet spot, and a second controller was not going to allow for that. You got an extra video card, you've got another wireless frequency, you've got a license, there's a lot of stuff involved in doing it, and I knew it was going to put the price too high.
I'd like to slightly chime in here.
Okay.
When I read this article, I went back and listened to some of our podcasts.
Yes.
I did say, sitting in this chair right here, I said for the Wii U, like 2 years ago, we talked about it.
It was announced a year ago.
Whenever it was announced, right? It wasn't this E3, it was last E3.
Right.
And as soon as we got back from there, we sat here and did a recap. Mm-hmm. After E3 was over, you said, they're only going to do one controller. And our other colleague said, nah, they'll do 2. And I said, they'll only do 2 if they sell it at a loss.
Nice.
I did call it. I like to say that we've been right on several things. Apple tanking, Facebook tanking, Google tanking, somebody else tanking that we'll talk about in just a little bit.
$98 loss this week.
So we were right here too. You were right on the one controller, and I did say they'd have to do it like Sony. Sell it at a loss.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing here.
Exactly.
I just didn't know if you went back and listened to that. I thought it was really funny.
We did later find out, in fact, at this E3, that they were going to include 2 controllers.
Right.
And we all knew what that meant. Either they had found an efficiency or they were going to sell it at a loss. Who would have ever thought that they'd sell it at a loss? It worked so well for Sony. Oh, no, wait. It didn't work for Sony, and PlayStation is almost bankrupt. That's what I meant. Mm-hmm. So Nintendo took all of the knowledge of Sony and duplicated their business model. They will be selling the Wii U at a loss. Now,
they have a couple things going for them, though.
They do.
It's different.
They've got a good collection of games that is different than the collection of games that launched with the Wii, which they could not have sold at a loss and ever turned a profit. They've got a better selection of games, including titles for hardcore gamers, which they seemed to forget existed when they launched the original Wii. So there is definitely the possibility that it could work there. Another thing is that a lot of the titles for the Nintendo are first party, which means that they develop them in-house, and therefore the cost is lower because there's no extra payment model in there. So there's more profit built in. Plus, they are encouraging digital downloads for titles, which means no packaging or production costs, which again means higher profit.
And you still charge the full price.
Which is something that did not exist when the PS3 launched.
Right.
So all of these things, which are new to the gaming world since Sony's bad decision, could make it successful.
Right.
So what they have to do is they have to get a good value proposition out there. They have to get people to understand not that they want to buy the hardware, but that they want to buy the software, and the only way to do it is to have the hardware. They need to put the software in front of people because they need people to buy the games and not through GameStop. They have got to make sure that GameStop is not in the mix because they won't make any money on software. And without software, the console is a loss. And there's no way they break even.
So what we're saying is if you like Wii U and you like what we do. No, if you like Wii U and you haven't pre-ordered it yet, go directly to Nintendo.com. Go pre-order it there. You can do that still. And buy the games right from the store. From the Nintendo online store.
Yeah.
Don't go to GameStop.
Do them digital. Don't play the whole used for $5 less thing. Because all it's going to do is it's going to hurt Nintendo. And you'll see less titles come out.
Look, do you really want Nintendo to be bought by Google?
Oh.
Really?
If somebody proposes that one more time.
Okay, do you really want Nintendo to be bought by Amazon? Do you want a Kindle U? Really?
It's an interesting partnership.
Go to Nintendo.com. Pre-order the Wii U.
Go to the Microsoft store. No.
Go there too. Order your Surface. To then go to Nintendo.com and pre-order your Wii U.
Yeah, there you go. Go to Nintendo.com on your Surface that you purchased. Right there.
In the center.
One more thing to talk about before we get out of here.
We got to. Keep the news going.
It's a little bittersweet.
Oh, kind of. This week's DRM not included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Sirius XM Satellite Radio.
It's that time for fall savings. The Onyx with Vehicle Kit is only $10.
Look at that.
Regularly $80.
$10.
85% off. Great deal. And you can get it by going to f5live.tv and clicking the link.
In the center, the best radio.
On radio. Except for us.
Well, yeah.
Because
we got nominated.
Yep. You know who didn't get nominated?
No. This is a sad time. We got to talk about this. So, there's some news.
Cue that up special for
Oh,
this,
yeah.
All right.
This is I've been waiting a long time to say this.
And it's sad. Don't let our bitterness.
It's kind of sad. I mean, lately it's kind of been painful.
Oh, indeed.
But a year ago it was sad.
Yeah. Just say it.
G4's gone. Well, it will be.
Mostly.
They're canceling Attack of the Show and X-Play.
The only things left that mattered, and even they were not all that mattering.
Right. So they're gone. Adam Sessler left. Kevin Pereira left. And that left...
Olivia Munn left.
Olivia left.
Her contract ran out before everybody else's.
And that left 2 hot girls and awful co-hosts.
Yep.
What's that fat guy that's on AOTS right now? Jorge? He's awful.
I don't know. I haven't...
See? Exactly. I watch to see how hot Candace Bailey looks like, and then I turn off.
That was a weird sentence.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How hot she looks like?
Yeah, you know.
Okay. The last time I saw it was Kevin's last episode.
Yeah.
And I haven't turned G4 on since. So, Attack of the Show and X-Play have been canceled. They're changing the direction of the network.
Yeah.
We've known that this was coming for a while. They tried to pawn the network off to UFC, and that deal ended up falling through. They didn't renew their 3 of the 4 big hosts' contracts. We kind of knew what that meant.
Everyone knew what that meant.
So there have been some questions that have been asked. The number one question, because the new focus of the network is going to be kind of a GQ kind of...
Yeah.
That one won't last either.
Compete with Spike TV.
one of the questions that was asked was, what about Ninja Warrior?
Yep.
Fear not. Ninja Warrior was on NBC Primetime this year, as well as G4. My guess is that it will transition into primetime on NBC, and it'll just live on NBC for a larger audience.
There is also the NBC Sports Network.
There is. That's a possibility as well.
14 channels.
Sure.
So there is a life for Ninja Warrior.
Absolutely. And they have discovered that there is a broader appeal. It's like ABC's Wipeout without the...
It's not funny.
Without the MXC hosts.
Yeah. It's a different appeal.
Yeah.
But it's good.
But there is a mass appeal to it. So my guess is it will live on NBC. And who cares about Cops and Campus PD? And that's the entire roster of shows on the network.
Yeah. So what's going to happen to AOTS and X-Play? Well, their painful death will be drawn out even longer. 2-month-long farewells ending at the end of the year. So original shows up until New Year's Eve.
So,
and the shows will be gone.
So during that time, we'll see former people show up again, similar to Kevin's last episode.
Definitely not 60 of them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of painfulness.
Yes, it is.
Just like that word.
Yeah. My guess is we'll see Olivia back for a long stint. We'll probably see Kevin come back for a long stint.
Adam's kind of bitter. I've been watching his Twitter.
I don't know what Adam's going to do.
He is kind of bitter.
He might come back just to be with Morgan again before the two of them end up going off to some other network and doing
he is a
X-Play
judge on Kevin's new show.
Boy, that is fascinating.
He is a judge. I don't know what the show's about. Twitter only tells me 140 characters.
Sure.
But that's what I know. So I'm going to put this out there. Public service announcement. If Morgan Webb, Candace Bailey, or Sarah Underwood...
Or, honest to God, Kevin, Adam, Olivia...
that's there, too. But we know they don't have a place yet.
Right.
Olivia's got something going on.
Yeah,
she's
on HBO.
She's in HBO. You know, Adam and Kevin got stuff going on.
Right.
These fine women that are on TV right now have nowhere to go.
Absolutely. Morgan... I will give you my chair.
Yeah, you got chair number 2. Candace, you got chair number 1. Circumstances are a little bit different for that one. And Sarah can just be right over there, you know, off camera.
It's not a big studio, but we'll make 5 people work.
We have a home for you all. So come join us at contact@plughits.com or follow me on Twitter. Direct messages work best. I just want to throw it out there. So it'll be a sad thing, but you know what? When you have a show that runs out of ideas 4 years ago.
Now, to be fair, X-Play didn't.
Okay, X-Play didn't.
So X-Play, most people don't know this. X-Play has actually been on the air longer than the network has existed. Mm-hmm. It started on ZDTV, and it was hosted by Adam. He has been around since the beginning.
That's why he's so mad.
Minus the last couple of months since he left. I guess it was May. It was just before E3.
And then Kevin left just before E3, and then was at E3.
It was at E3. Same thing Olivia did with CES a couple years before. But Adam had been hosting that show forever, longer than the network had existed. It was on ZDTV. He was a staff member for ZDNet. I mean, that tells you how long ago it was when they were relevant. And then it transitioned. It had a longer name, Extreme Play or something like that. He and Morgan used to host the show from beanbag chairs. I swear to God, the early show was hosted from beanbag chairs. They looked ridiculous. Yep. And it evolved a lot over like a 13-year time span.
Well, when you look at their flagship show, AOTS, right?
Yes.
Not Cops. AOTS.
One of the two flagships, because X-Play is the other one.
And you look at the culture of the company. G4, not NBC. Mm-hmm. After a while...
Not E! Entertainment, which is owned by NBC.
Sure. When you look at what they've done over the past 4 years, you know, unoriginal things, copying things. We've seen a lot of their stuff before, you know, in other places. Eventually, you're like, you know what?
Feedback.
Did you call feedback?
A little bit.
It's about time. Sometimes you wonder, you know, maybe we should go listen to the originals and not go listen to, you know, the copycats. And then when we saw Spike TV take over the broadcast partner, at CES, we called it. We said that's the end.
That's it. We're done. We won't see G4 at CES next year. The fact that the fact that they're here this year is merely because they already booked the truck.
Non-refundable airplane tickets.
Yeah.
That Comcast does not want to take the hit on. Or Cabletown.
It's a 3-hour drive.
All right, so that's it. We'll, I don't know, laugh and laugh and laugh.
Yeah, it's sad because, I mean, we can go into goals.
All right, that's good.
It's sad because, you know, the fact that we do a show at all is partially inspired by G4. A lot of early structure was partially inspired by, I mean, Adam personally is like the reason why I got into gaming news at all.
Yeah.
So the whole him leaving was interesting. I've been following him since ZDTV. So, you know, it's a big change. It's very sad, but when all is said and done, my guess is Adam and Morgan will figure out a way to get back together and do a show somewhere. Hopefully, the silver lining that comes out of all of this is Morgan's hair goes back to something attractive.
Oh, thank God. Maybe for the last show.
Oh, I hope she tells them to stick it and fixes her hair now.
That'd be great.
What are you going to do? Fire me?
Okay. I'm not coming back for the farewell then.
Yeah. You got 2 months of farewell, and you know Adam's not coming back. Good luck with that.
Advertisers pull out tomorrow.
Yeah. Farewell ends.
Commercial-free X-Place. That'll be good.
The farewell ends on Halloween. Because she can't like her hair any more than anybody else
she
does.
Like it. So that's our show.
It is.
Facebook, iTunes, Zune, F5Live.tv. If you can find us on Windows 8, do that too. Subscribe button on the right-hand side, audio, video, social, and special events, all there for your consuming pleasure. Many thanks to Avram Pilch for being absolutely flexible with our schedule.
Absolutely.
Absolutely flexible with our schedule and showing up when we need him. We appreciate it. Many thanks to you, our fans. Absolutely, from the bottom of our hearts. I mean, I can't even... Every time, right?
Indeed.
I can't even express to you, honestly, we were sitting off camera. Thank you. Seriously, it's a huge one-up. You may think, hey, you're on TPN. You automatically get in.
Nope.
We've been with the Blueberry Network for 4 years here. And this is our first nomination. So for what it's worth...
To you guys, thank you.
Thank you. Many thanks specifically as well to the 3000 Brigade. They pushed it hard too.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they go recognized for that.
If you're a normal audio listener of the show, this episode will be a good one to watch because I'm going to put our reaction.
Are you?
In the video.
Oh, good. So I look like a fool. Awesome. That's fine. It's all good.
We were pretty excited about it. So you'll get to see our ridiculous reaction.
So find it on YouTube or subscribe to us at f5live.tv. On behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Nick.
I'm Scott.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Peace and chicken grease.
Ciao.
Take the money and run. Do we get paid for being nominated?
No.
Damn.
We get a trophy if we win.
Sweet.